The background and cause of the Persian Wars can be traced to the expansion of the Persian Empire and the Ionian Revolt. At the beginning of the 5th century BCE, the Persian Empire was the largest in the world, stretching from Asia Minor to India, and from the Caspian Sea to Egypt and Arabia. The Persians overwhelmed their opponents with their large, highly trained army, and expanded their empire by conquering new peoples. Persian warriors became known as the 10,000 Immortals, because if one of them died in combat, he was immediately replaced by another. Their mighty cavalry was composed of nobles who were trained from boyhood to ride horses and shoot arrows. Despite their powerful army, Persian kings avoided ruling their subjects by force and through fear. One of the greatest Persian kings was Darius the Great, who ruled from 522 to 486 BCE. Darius was a brilliant politician and administrator, and a capable military man. In order to rule his diverse empire more efficiently, he divided into 20 large provinces, or satrapies, each run by an appointed official. Persian kings believed that they could more easily win the loyalty of their subjects if they ruled fairly rather than through force. So, while the people had to pay taxes, they were also allowed to keep their own language, religion, and laws. Darius decided to build a new capital at Persepolis, with the incredible amount of wealth produced by the Persian Empire. This city became known for its beauty and splendor throughout the ancient world. According to legend, it would take 10,000 horses and 5,000 camels to carry the royal treasures that were kept in the city. Darius' desire to acquire more land and economic power drove him to conquer nearby lands throughout his reign. In 513 BCE, he launched the first Asian invasion of Greek city-states in Asia Minor. He knew that conquering these city-states would give him control of many Greek trade routes, allowing him more opportunity to obtain resources to run his enormous empire. Now, Greece presented a dramatic contrast to the powerful and orderly Persian Empire during the 6th century BCE. Greece was divided into hundreds of tiny independent political units known as city-states. Because of Greece's geography, the people developed their own cultures in isolated regions and had very little contact with one another. The ancient Greeks based their identities on their ethnicity and the region of their origin, referring themselves as Athenians, Spartans, or Ionians, rather than as Greeks. Unlike the orderly Persian Empire, life in the Greek city-states was characterized by frequent outbreaks of warfare over land disputes. Furthermore, city-states had limited resources, and some were relatively poor. In 546 BCE, the Persians conquered Ionia, a prosperous Greek settlement in Asia Minor. The Persians were not the first to invade this area. In 1000 BCE, the Ionians themselves displaced non-Greeks living in the region. Like the Ionian Greeks, the Persians realized that the rich farmland and the accessible harbors in the area could be used to create a profitable trade network. After conquering Ionia, the Persians set up Greek puppet rulers, or local leaders whose nations were controlled by the Persians to govern the area. They also forced the Ionians to pay tribute and to serve in the Persian army during times of need. Many Ionians were unhappy about having to pay taxes to the Persians. They particularly resented the Persians for taking over the trade routes that the Ionians themselves had once controlled. In 499 BCE, the Ionians rebelled against Persian rule. The Ionians asked for help from Sparta, the strongest Greek city-state. However, the Spartan king refused to help because he realized his troops would have to march for 3 months just to reach the Persian Empire. Instead, 2 other Greek city-states from mainland Greece, Athens and Etruria, agreed to offer assistance to the Ionians. they sent ships and troops to support the small Ionian army. When the Persian king Darius learned about the revolt, he immediately ordered his troops to sail to Greece and attack the rebellious city-states. In the face of the powerful Persian army, many of the Greeks lost their nerve. Many of their troops surrendered or changed sides to join the Persians in the hope of avoiding harsh punishment. The Ionian and the Athenian troops, however, fought a difficult battle to resist Persian rule. After 5 years, the Persian troops finally defeated the Ionians. They stormed into the Ionian city of Miletus, burned one of its holy sites, and transported the people to Persia to sell them as slaves. The Ionian revolt, which ended in 493 BCE, marked the beginning of the Persian Wars. Even after the revolt was crushed, Darius was determined to make the Ionians pay for the losses his army had suffered. However, he was more furious with the Athenians, who had assisted the Ionians. According to legend, he ordered one of his servants to repeat, "Master, remember the Athenians," to him 3 times a day, to ensure that he did not forget to punish them for their part in the rebellion.